It's the Dean's List on Bermuda College Radio. Live 4.0, powered by the great folks at One Communications. One gives you more.
Yes, yes, yes. Happy Friday, beautiful people. This is the Dean's List on Bermuda College Radio Live 4.0, proudly powered by those great folks over at One Communications. It's your girl LA, and I'm joined with a very special guest who is no stranger to the college radio family. Kushai, what's up?
What's good? What's good? It's good to see your
How's
face.
It's good to see you too, man. You've definitely been glowing. It must be that fatherly glow, man. It's definitely got to be the fatherly glow. I just want to say before we get started into the interview, I swear, like whenever you post like a picture or a caption with your daughter, it just warms my heart. Like just
Yeah,
seeing a father's love for the daughter, it's just something that I don't know, you can't get away from. You know what I'm saying? Like it just hits you every time. You know?
good thanks. Good thanks. She's my whole world, and she brings
Yeah.
me so much joy, but so much education and so much youth as well. You
Mhm.
know, she's really my inspiration. So I'm glad that it touches you like that to see her.
Yeah, man. She's beautiful, man. She's beautiful. That's it's a beautiful thing, with you and your daughter, and of course any other fathers with daughters and just children in general. It's just something when the father just loves on the kid, just you know, extensively. It's just a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. I'm a
It's a
hundred percent.
beautiful thing.
I love to see
Yeah,
it too.
yeah, man.
Love to
Again,
do it.
much respect to you.
Give thanks.
Much respect. So it's been a minute since we last had our conversation, or we last had you on the show. So what have you been up to since then?
And how long ago has it been? Was that last year? That would have been year before last, huh?
Yeah, I think it was like 29. Yeah, it was 2019, right before the whole pandemic hit.
A lot's happened. Obviously, a whole pandemic happened.
For sure.
Despite all of the challenges that come with that, all the challenges that we're all facing as individual members of a community, I've been learning. I've been learning, and my education has taken place in a lot of different ways. For example, one of the highlights of my journey over the past couple of years is that I went to Ecuador in September 2019 and again in March of last year, so just over a year ago now, to do ayahuasca retreat, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but just to give a quick breakdown, ayahuasca is something that's very commonly known in the spiritual community, and as you know, I'm a big part of that. And it's basically a medicinal plant um, that shamans facilitate a ceremony around, and a person goes into a trance-like state, experiences visions, so many different profound things. Like there have been people who have seen uh, memories that were repressed from early childhood. For me, I saw a really amazing vision. I saw like the vastness of the universe, had a conversation with God, whole bunch of stuff. So that was one of the highlights of my journey over the past couple of years. Fatherhood has also been top priority, and also in that, like I mentioned earlier, my daughter teaches me so much. So pouring into her is a great thing, and being a father is a great thing, but it's more transactional than I think people realize. And even parents, I don't think, put a lot of focus on the transactional nature of the educational relationship that they have with their children. Children can teach us so much ourselves and our path. Release this concept that we are the teacher as a parent and show up open to learn. So I learned so many things from my daughter. She's helped me to become so much more patient. She's helped me to become more fun loving, more enjoyable person. She's just generally made me wiser, more creative, uh, patient. I'm gonna say it again. But yeah, that's been great. And I guess the last thing that is really a theme is my work. So I've been for the past probably about 15 years now doing graphic design and marketing consulting, brand development consulting. And over the past 5 years, 5 years ago, I became a certified life coach. I've been like slowly trying to understand how to transition from what I know, which is graphic design, all of that stuff, to what I know I'm supposed to do, which is in this realm of coaching and whatnot. So the transition has really accelerated since last year after coming back from the ayahuasca retreat. In that, what I learned there was really to in that retreat, the most profound thing I took away from it was to get connected with my roots, my material roots, because as a very spiritual person, I'm always in the ether. I'm always thinking about things like energy and vibration and law of attraction. And this said, get really connected to your roots here on earth. So I got connected to my roots, and then obviously a lot happened around being black. Just as black people, the last year, our voices have become more recognized, more respected, and through a lot of tragedy, which is not anything that I take lightly, but I'm grateful because without those tragedies, like so many of us would feel still so confused. And I feel so liberated. And I know that I'm not the only one because I see on Instagram, I see people constantly talking about how liberated they've been feeling. Even Toby and Nwigwe, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's uh, an artist, a rapper, you could say, but his very musical in different ways. So he'll sing and whatnot too. His music's fire though, but he alluded to the same concept that, congratulations to everybody as a black person who's kind of reveling in their blackness right now. And that has guided me towards what I'm really going to be working on going forward, which is helping to empower and educate myself first and concurrently the black community around me through spirituality, through economic and entrepreneurial empowerment, and of course through social justice. And also, I think that a part of edge or moving things forward is creating some structures for white people as well. So I'm going to be pouring into the black community, and I'm also going to be working with white people to teach them how to be allies, because this concept of white allyship is getting bigger, but not a lot of people really know, especially in Bermuda. Like there's no structure for it here. There are people in America who've created structures, reparations, societies, all sorts of things. There's nothing here. So as a Bermudian, I want to give the white people in Bermuda who are feeling cold to address their privilege and to create equity in the community. I want to give them a roadmap to do that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a conversation that, um, I would say like a lot of people are scared to have, um, in the black and the white community. And it's definitely something that needs to be at the forefront. Luckily now us as millennials, we're, like you said, our voices are becoming more known, and it's definitely a conversation that needs to be had. And the fact that you're willing to make that decision to, you know help people understand, white people understand how it is to be an ally, and also work with black people as to finding our voice and to being that hope. You know what I mean? um like, of course, we had the pandemic, or we're still in a pandemic, and then of course we had the uprisings with the George Floyd protests, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, all those innocent lives that were lost um, at the hands of so injustice. Um, what I mean, obviously, we don't have that here in that regard. But what were your thoughts on the whole Black Lives Matter movement? The protest, the peaceful protest that we had. I want to say last year around this time. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, thanks. That was a good reflection that you shared. And the one thing that I do want to just put out there, and not even to correct you, just to further what you said. You said to um, to be that hope, also to be the fulfillment of that hope. You know what I mean? To actually bring us into a space where we're materializing the hope that we've always had as our real lives. Um, so that is definitely like the purpose of my work. And you're 100% right. Like we don't have overt racism in Bermuda. Very rare. The only thing that I think of in my life where something racist happened was I can't remember who it was, but it was I think it was a politician too, a politician and their brother, white politicians, a couple years ago, tried to punch, or maybe they tried to punch a black politician, something like that, who was in his car, and that's like the only racist thing that I can remember. Or maybe there was, and then the Barbie lady, that's another one. And I think something happened. There was something that happened at ice cream one time. But all of these vague memories, only three that I can think of. We don't have a culture of overt racism in Bermuda, but we do have a culture of covert and systemic racism in Bermuda that severely affects us as Black people, and most of us don't even realize it.
Absolutely, and it's crazy because it's I don't want to say it's a good thing that we don't have the overt racism such as the states and other parts of the world, but we definitely have the systematic racism. We definitely have the covert racism, and like you said, I don't even think we realize it until you step back and you're like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
And it's I want to say it's a blessing and a curse, because I think especially for us as Black Bermudians, we kind of get caught up so much or so much into the whole, oh well, it doesn't exist here. I don't have to worry about it, but we face it every day and we don't even realize it. You know what I mean? Um, so I'm really glad that you're taking that step into helping us understand it and also work along with white people to make them help them understand, like, look, you may not be quote unquote racist, but some of the misconceptions that you have about it, some of the what's the word, microaggressions that you would portray on to a person of color in Bermuda, you may not realize it, but it can be perceived as, wait, was that racist? That seems a bit racist.
Uh,
So like, just I guess further explain on how you plan to make that something to be kind of out in the open and how to go about it.
Good, thanks. Yeah. First thing that I would say is that whether white people want to be called racist or not, everybody is racist. Even Black people are racist because the whole entirety of the system that we live in is racist. It's built on racism and it's designed to perpetuate racism. So when we're looking at things like the job structure, the political structure, the housing economy in Bermuda, all literally everything that you can think of has been set up to support the advancement of white people and not Black people. In fact, at the expense of Black people for the most part. So that right there is the most important thing, the stage that we're at, is helping people to understand that, yo, you as a Black person first, please become aware that you live in a racist society so that you are aware of how to navigate it. and not even navigate it, because whether we are conscious that this society is racist or not, as Black people, we do navigate it. We talk differently when we're in front of white people. You know what I mean? We have to go, for the most part, to white people to get a good job. Then we get that good job. All of our managers are white people. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we are constantly navigating, but we're navigating it from a space where something don't feel right. But what is it? Like, how come this feels so weird? It feels so weird because it's racist. Like that's the bottom line. Like it feels weird because it's racist, fam. And we have to know that. And the only way that we can know that is through studying our history. And it's so funny that I'm at this place in my life and I'm grateful to be here, but maybe about 3-4 years, maybe more ago than that, I was talking with Calix, and he was explaining to me why history is important. And again, I'm spiritual, so I'm an Aquarius, right? Aquarius, we're all about technology, forward movement, pushing the
Yes.
hill, pushing the envelope of everything, right? So I'm like, man,
Yes, indeed.
yeah, you're Aquarius too?
No, 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 no. I know what you. I have an Aquarius friend, so I know
Okay,
exactly what you mean.
yeah. Okay, Calix, bro.
Shout out to
History,
Calix though,
like
man.
you can't stay in history. Yeah, shout out, big shout out to Calix. Calix is a pillar of Black culture in Bermuda. Fact. And if you don't know who Calix Smith is, go find out. He is one of the dopest artists, if not the dopest Black artist on this island. And yeah, we were talking about history, and I was like, fam, that's not where it's at. Like, I can't get caught up into history because I want to create something new. But I took the time last year to get acquainted with my history, and the thing that blew my mind was how validating it was for me to do that and liberating. So everything that I had tried to suppress as a Black person, tried to force away and not feel and ignore because racism doesn't exist in Bermuda. When I learned the history of Bermuda, I was able to say, okay, so I'm not crazy. And all of this pressure that I've been feeling is not my imagination. It's actually racist. Like it's actually something out here affecting me. And as Black people, we go through that on a daily basis, and we don't have a framework for it. We don't have an understanding of it. So we got to start there to get that. So how I am going about it is first pointing people to get educated about their history. That's not my job, but that's something that's a prerequisite to what I do. Get educated through Curb is the best, one of the best ways to do it. They have a whole presentation on Black history in Bermuda. They have what's called the Truth and Reconciliation Community Conversations, where Black and white people sit in the same space together and hash it out, have conversations, have discussions about what we're going through as Black individuals and as white individuals. Really powerful. It's a really powerful program. And then where I come in is working with people on an individual basis and through programs that I'm going to create to facilitate a learning that empowers them. So again, I mentioned spiritual understanding. Like spiritual understanding is so important, and spiritual empowerment, because when we learn what it means to be spiritual, we learn how powerful we are. A lot of the time we go out in the world and we're at the effect of everything around us, and we're like, I can't do this because of this reason, that reason, this reason, that reason. When you develop a spiritual understanding, all of that goes away. You become self-empowered, right? So that's the first part. The second part is financial empowerment. There are methods of financial empowerment that Black people can do right now in Bermuda that have never been available before, that are making Black people money and other people too. Usually what happens is that white people have the access to the financial tools to build wealth. We don't, and those tools are high ticket items. So investing in mutual funds or whatever the investment vehicles out there are is more expensive than most Black people can afford. But with things like cryptocurrency, we can get in at under $1,000. You can get in with whatever you got, like whatever you have to spare, put it into a crypto market and start making money today. And it's just like, but of course, mindset is the most important thing, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, I'll put my money in crypto, it goes up, it goes down. I don't know how I feel about that. It's important to understand that if you put your money in a bank account, it goes down. Most people don't know that. The value of money in a bank account decreases over time because inflation increases at 2%, and most bank accounts only pay a 1% interest. So if my dollar is worth $1 today, in next year's economy, it takes $1.01 to buy the same amount of thing. This dollar is still only worth $1. It can't buy the same thing next year. You know what I mean? So if we put money into cryptocurrency now, think of it as a bank account. I'm making crazy percentages off my crypto wallet. Crazy percentages. Crazy, like stuff that no traditional investment uh, portfolio is gonna or fiduciary is gonna be like, yo,
Yeah, they
fam,
ain't gonna show
look,
you that.
these numbers ain't they don't exist in
Yep.
traditional. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? So that's the second part, is educating Black people through finances, and the third part is the social justice piece, where that means facilitating the education of white people as allies, teaching them how to be good allies and how to support Black people. Because a lot of white people want to do it, but one, they don't know what to do. And really, they are gonna need some help because, yo, giving up all the privilege that white people have is gonna be a scary thing. It's like, fam, okay, yeah, like, okay, maybe you've inherited generational wealth through land, right? And you have X amount of houses just from growing up white, right? So it's understanding that you have resources, you gotta come up off of that, because that's what equity means, right? Equity is not saying, oh, hey, we're white people now that we like Black people and we want them to be equal, how can we help them to come up here? Equity is actually saying, how can we create a balance? And that means for us to come up, white people have to come down and share some of the resources that they have in different ways. It doesn't, maybe, it's not giving your houses away, but maybe it's saying, okay, well, I can take on a Black tenant and give them a reduced rent. Or maybe it's saying, okay, I can donate. Reparations is one thing that I really like to talk about, right? That's what I'm getting into with this statement. I want to just clarify that this is reparations that I'm talking about. Individual reparations. I can, as a white person, donate to a Black person money because I have more than that. Feel me? And that's the mentality that we want uh, white people to understand and embody, so that they're not confused about, okay, what do I, fam? Just give a Black person $100. Like, start there.
I mean, it really. I think what a lot of people don't understand is that it. I don't want to say it doesn't take much to be an ally, but it does, if that makes sense. Like, I guess I can kind of go back to this thing where it's just be a good person. You know what I mean? Like, just if you're a white person, understand that, okay, this person just wants to be treated like how I am, or this person wants to have the same equality, same rights as I do. But in order for that to happen, exactly what you said, that means that it has to balance out. Not so much bring them up here, but bring us here so we can be equivalent. Um, and just for the record, because I think a lot of people is gonna be like, "Well, are you saying you're racist?" No, it's basically, because being pro-black, it doesn't make you anti-white. You know what I mean? Like I know a lot of people are scared to have that conversation, but it's it's really as not as hard as some might think it is, if you know what I'm saying. Um, so in regards to the whole equity, and because I know as a joke, the whole forex, like, is that obviously that's not the same thing as, is that the same thing as Bitcoin? Because you get this, the forex traders, like the big scammers that's constantly in your DMs, like, hey, let me show you how to make $1,000 in a week. Like, get up out my DMs. Just just explain to the people what the difference between cryptocurrency is, and like Bitcoin and all that great stuff.
Okay, so first of all, I am in no way a financial expert. This is just me explaining how I understand it, right? Essentially, there is not much difference between Forex and cryptocurrency. Forex stands for foreign exchange. That means different currencies, currencies from other countries. We live in Bermuda, we buy with the Bermuda dollar in this marketplace. To get into Forex trading means to take our Bermuda dollars and trade it for euros or US dollars or blah, 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 whatever kind of money is out there, right? What happens with Forex trading, for the most part, these people who, we see who are always on the grind with Forex are doing aggressive forms of investing. So they're doing things like day trading or short trading, where you are literally doing this as a job right here, right now on your computer, making trades. You don't have to do that with cryptocurrency, because what's happening with cryptocurrency is, because it's not an established currency already, it's becoming established. So it's grabbing so much of the marketplace that there was never anything, because there was never anything in the space. So they've created a space and now they're filling the space. Whereas Forex, etc., it's hard to make gains over time, because those economies are trading at the same, almost at the same amount as a dollar. Like a euro is what, $1.40. The pound is what, maybe $2, $3. I don't know, but it hasn't increased over the dollar over a period of time, right? Since 2010, Bitcoin, which started at below a cent, like fractions below a cent, is now today we're up like $62,000 or something like that. You see what I mean? So there's a huge increase in how much in value when you trade in cryptocurrency, and it can be passive. So I can put my money into cryptocurrency today and let it sit, think of it as a bank account, and it's just gonna grow. That's it. Forex trading is active trading. You have to be there today. You have to click buttons, make trades, hope that you win. And the risk is very, very high. With cryptocurrency, you just put your money in there, let it sit, and pay attention, because at a certain point, you may or may not want to cash out and bring that money back into a fiat currency, like a regular form of currency. But you don't necessarily have to do that anyway, because if you're thinking 5-10 years from now, which is the minimum time frame if you're thinking about passive investing, in 5-10 years, we're going to be using cryptocurrency almost as normally as we use fiat currency, regular dollars.
Wow, that's very interesting. That, I mean, so like, are you planning to have like any workshops on this? Like, you know, Instagram lives. Like, what are the plans for, what you have going on right now?
Yeah, give thanks for asking that. Right now, I'm actually in the process of building the structure of my business. So that's what I'm focused on. And I'm looking at the rest of the year to complete that structure before I actually start putting out a whole lot of stuff. I'll be doing workshops, maybe some courses this year, like one-off workshops here and there. But in terms of then people will be able to actually have access to a full range of products that fit into this kind of structure that I spoke about earlier. That's going to be next year.
All right, that's that. I mean, that sounds dope, man. And of course, I wish you all the best with that. And what, whatever you need from us, we got you. Now to end the conversation, being a radio station, of course, we have to ask this question. Last week we lost hip hop royalty, DMX, and I just want to, I guess, take you down memory lane. You know what I mean? Where were you like when the first time that you heard DMX? Like, what was your growing up? What was like your go to album from X?
So I was raised 7 Day Adventist, right? So I heard DMX. I kind of had to sneak to hear DMX. I didn't have any of his CDs or anything like that,
I
because
feel
his
that.
music, yeah, his music
I
was a
feel
little
that.
his music was a little bit too much. I couldn't bring home no Flash of My Blood, 50
Yeah,
Bud
yeah.
back on. But my uncle had it, so I used to listen to it when I was at his spot. But my oh man, like who doesn't remember the first time you heard that? Dun, 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 dun. Man, what? That was an instant hit, instant hit, and that's
Facts.
every yo. That
Facts.
DMX's hardest song ever, and it sticks with everybody. And he's a cultural icon. I mean, in Bermuda, every single time, every weekend when clubs are open, Party Up is playing. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Guaranteed to hear that. Guaranteed to hear that. How many years? This is like 2 decades later after that song came out. We still play that song weekly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. I mean, you have like, of course, the whole, Rough Riders anthem. X gonna give it. Like, it's just DMX was the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was everything about the hip hop culture. The bikes, the cars. Well, mostly the bikes, because it was a bike crew. But I just remember, I can't remember if it was down south side or if it was at Coney Island. And you remember how used to have the races every weekend, and they would have like the little the bikes out and whatnot. And of course, we're like what 12, 9 years old. We ain't talking about we're getting on a big old Ducati or something like that. So we used to just try to do papa wheelies and do the stunts with our pedal bikes. But I mean, I know me personally, when hearing about his passing, it was always something about DMX that I kind of gravitated to. Um, Not so much with the whole rap, because I mean, like you said, I grew up in a Christian household, Pentecostal, so of course, listening to it was kind of out of the question. But you had the MTV videos, BET, and I just remember thinking to myself, man, I wanna do that. Like, I wanna be a bike rider like that. You know.
Mm, mm.
Um. So hearing of his passing, it's still, I think it's like with Nipsey, like, and Kobe, it still hasn't hit me as of yet. And it might sound crazy because people be like, but you didn't know him, like you didn't even, like, he didn't even know you existed. But the thing is that when, especially with your childhood, when you have these influential people that played a part of your childhood, it just hits a little different. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Especially his
so
music.
yeah, man, it's music. It's just you can't get away from that. You know what I mean? So if you could pick any song,
When people take the responsibility, before I pick a song, but when people take the responsibility to be a cultural icon and to represent our community at large, they literally touch on an individual basis everybody who listens to what they do. It's the same thing that happened when, you know, Chadwick passed away last year. Everybody was crushed because he gave us as black people liberation. And that's what DMX did for the streets. He was relatable. Fam, I still can't think of more than 10 times where I've seen DMX in like an actual chain. He always with a dog chain. You know what I mean? He always wore that dog chain. He didn't have a lot of gold, a lot of platinum. He was just a real guy. So for me, yeah, it would be between Rough Riders Anthem and Party Up. But you know, there was all of his songs were crazy. All of his singles were crazy. All of them. But that Rough Riders Anthem is the one that really just brought it all
It
home.
hits. It hits every single time. Every single time. And I think actually I remember another time I was in Delwood, I believe. And this was when he brought the song out with Cisco, the what y'all want. And yo, I just remember being hype because I heard
Fire.
my name. I was like, oh, see, he knows me. He knows me. He knows me. I mean, mind you, the context of it probably wasn't that great, but he knows me. Okay. He knows me. But no, DMX is definitely the culture, you know what I'm saying? And it's a huge loss to the hip hop community, to the, to the street community, to the biker community, and but his music lives on, of course. His spirit lives on for sure.
I'm grateful for that legacy for sure, man. Rest in peace to DMX. Thank you. He's an ancestor now, so you know what I mean. In our traditional religions as Black people, when somebody passes away, they don't die; they live on. And only in Christianity, and perhaps some of the newer kind of religions, is this idea that life ends at death. Most religions, pre-Christian religions, believe in an afterlife that is accessible on earth and people engage with their ancestors. You know what I mean? So DMX is an ancestor at this point, and he is up with the rest of them, guiding us forward as we continue as a black people
Absolutely.
to take strides. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely want to have this conversation with you about, spirituality. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I definitely want to have that conversation with you about spirituality and tapping into, into our power, as people, as creators. Excuse me. But thank you for taking the time out of your schedule, man. I greatly appreciate it. It's always a dope time catching up with you and being able to have these conversations with you. So thank you so much for taking your time out, man. You greatly appreciate it.
Give thanks. And thank you kindly for the invitation. It's always humbling and touching to be
Always,
invited.
man.
And I got love, mad love for Bermuda College.